So if you struggle with this too, just try to take this as encouragement to give yourself some grace too. And hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley if you are new here, and in this video it is kind of going to be like a part 2 of one of the last videos that I posted. Today I'm going to be talking about my homeschool fails from the past year. In the last video I talked about our wins. So if you are new here and you don't know, this is my first year homeschooling, or it was my first year homeschooling. We just finished up our year and I was completely new to homeschooling. I was not homeschooled myself. I didn't know anyone who was homeschooled really, so I was just kind of starting from scratch. I didn't even know about the YouTube community here, and I really didn't know what I was getting into at all when I started. So some things went really well and some things did not go so well. I definitely made my fair share of mistakes, and that's what I want to do in this video, is just basically share our mistakes, the things that didn't go quite as well, in hopes that you could learn from this and that maybe you don't make these same mistakes if you are just starting out homeschooling. Okay, so what I would consider my very first fail is that I probably spent too much time worrying about if homeschooling was the right choice. Especially before we really started homeschooling, I didn't really do that much research, but I just kind of let this idea of like, what if my son is too social for homeschooling, or what if he would have a better opportunity somewhere else? And even though I felt a very clear conviction to want to do this, I spent way too much time just mulling over all of the other options and thinking that even if I want to do this and my husband wants us to do this and we see the benefits of it, that there still is something else better out there or something. And of course that is something you need to consider, I suppose, but it's not something that I probably spent too much time considering it, is what I'm saying. So I kind of just wish that I didn't doubt myself, I guess, before we got in. So when I started, I really just kind of started it in the sense of like, we're just going to try it out and maybe it won't work out. And of course, like that could be a lot of people's plans too. But I like really left it open, like this really might not work. And I don't know, I wish I just didn't have, like, I wish I was a bit more positive thinking about it when I went into it, I guess I could say. So the next fail is sort of that I would say that there are certain family members in our lives who have not supported us in homeschooling, and it is definitely difficult to have that scenario happen because you really do want to like feel like you are doing the right thing, of course, right? And you know that you are, if you are, you know, praying about it and you feel that God is leading you to this and you have the desire to do it. And even once you've started and you see that it's going well, but it really does feel nice, of course, to like have your parents or the like elders in your life essentially like just understand where you're coming from and support you in that and see like, okay, I see that you've spent a lot of time preparing for this or thinking through this and looking at the pros and cons, and I support that you are, you know, making a good choice for your family. And that's not the experience that we had. Nobody has outwardly like told us we are choosing the wrong thing, but sometimes you just know that they don't exactly support your choice and have shared opinions in the past. So that has been our experience. I'm curious to know if you have had the same experience. If you wanted to share, I would be interested to see that it's, you know, maybe we are not the only ones, because sometimes it feels like we are. But yeah, I would say that was not a very fun part of this past year, but that is okay. That is part of choosing something that is not as popular as other things. Like it's not the mainstream, and that is totally fine. So this next fail kind of goes along with both of those things, and it is I wish that I didn't allow other people's opinions to affect me as much as I did. I wouldn't say that it affected me like super greatly or anything. I wasn't like stressing about it every single day or anything like that, but I just kind of wished that I didn't let it affect me at all, which I know maybe is impossible, but when it comes to family members, that's part of it. But also, I even spent some time feeling like doubting myself or questioning myself for like curriculum choices because I've seen on the YouTube community that there's a lot of talk about this one particular curriculum, say, and I chose to do that curriculum, and just hearing other people's opinions on why that curriculum maybe is not as good as this one or something. And I know that curriculum obviously is very personal, and if it works for me and it doesn't work for you, that doesn't mean that it's wrong in any way. It's just we're different people and we have different kids, and it might work for me and it might not work for you. And I wish I just like kind of stopped at that and not thought any deeper about it, I guess. So I think I've just spent a little bit too much time thinking about what other people think about what I am doing. So the next thing that I would consider a fail from this past year is that I also spent too much time stressing if my son was learning enough or if I was doing enough. I would say this probably happened more in the beginning of the school year, after our first few months. When he was just learning his letter sounds and that sort of thing, I started to doubt if he was really picking it up, if I was doing a good enough job reviewing it with him, if I should be doing more, that kind of a thing. As time went on, I realized that he was really starting to connect the dots, and even though it didn't happen like exactly the way that I thought it was going to happen, he definitely was learning, and he definitely was picking up the letter sounds, and then eventually went on to learn how to read, and it was a huge confidence boost once he did that. But in the in-between stage, I did spend a little bit too much time thinking like maybe I chose the wrong curriculum or maybe I should be doing something different. So yeah, definitely there's a common theme here. If you hadn't noticed already, I obviously just have spent too much time stressing when I shouldn't have. So the next thing I will say is that I also would say that I bought too much curriculum. I probably have spent more money than I needed to spend. During that time where I told you that I was starting to doubt a little bit about how much he was learning, I went out and I bought a different curriculum, a different preschool curriculum than the one we were doing, even though the one we were doing was working. I just started getting these doubts that, like, what if he wasn't learning quick enough or something? And so I went out and I bought a different company's curriculum and was planning on kind of doing two together, which now that I think about it is just crazy. Like, that was not a good plan. But you live and you learn, right? So it was, I think, $50 for the second curriculum. And luckily that was not like hundreds of dollars that I was wasting or anything. And I still have the curriculum, and I do have two more kids who will have to go through preschool. So I am hoping to use it in the future. So hopefully it won't go completely to waste, or then I guess I could sell it if we don't use it. But yeah, going hand in hand with stressing too much on if I was doing enough, I also then spent money that I probably should not have spent if I had thought about it a bit more, given it some more time. I also bought curriculum that I ended up not using because it was kind of too much, and I don't regret that or anything. I guess it's sort of like a fail. We are going to use it next year though, so it's saving me money for next year, I guess, if you look at it in a positive light. So the next one is something that I wish was not the case, but I will admit that there were definitely days that I lost my patience with my son. I have, been maybe in like a bad headspace that day. I was too stressed about other things. I maybe should have just taken the day off or like let myself relax, pushed the school day into the afternoon rather than doing it all in the morning, because I have this like idea that I'm like, I really want to get things done in the morning because in the afternoon, I don't really have the energy for it. My kids are more hyper, but on certain days, that may be the right choice. And instead of obviously getting angry with my son because he is being a child and, doing the things that children do, and I just wasn't having the patience for that, that I would definitely consider a fail. I do not want to be yelling at my children while they are learning. So if you have been there and think like that, nobody else struggles with this, just know that you're not alone. I definitely struggle with that on days, especially if I'm overly tired or something, had a bad night with the baby or whatever. There's different stressors. It doesn't make it okay, but obviously sometimes it's helpful to know that you're not alone. And so my last fail for this video is kind of a little bit, goes hand in hand with that last one, is I also have not had enough patience for my toddler during school time. I wish that I sometimes would just allow myself to do the easier thing occasionally. It doesn't have to be every day. Like maybe let him watch a short show while Shani is really needing to focus, and instead of letting him stay at the table with us and distract Shane, and then I get angry with him because he wants to play with his brother, or watching like library books on my phone, or just figuring out something else for him. I have this idea that like, oh, I want to keep, the screen time as limited as possible so he can't watch TV. Although it's not that we don't have a no screen time rule in our house. So he could, like sometimes I think that's the right answer. And I try to hold myself to too high of this standard that I have in my head that I want to be this like super mom and do all the things and, have patience for the toddler and have patience for the preschooler. And sometimes I just need to cut myself some slack and realize when I, need it to be a bit easier, and that's okay. So if you struggle with this too, just try to take this as encouragement to give yourself some grace too, and realize that you don't have to do it all. You don't have to do it like so-and-so that you see on YouTube or your friend or whoever. We're allowed to choose the easier route sometimes, and sometimes it's hard to do that, but I think it's necessary. So that is all of my fails. I'm sure there were more that I forgot, but those are all the ones that I could think of. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new and you liked this video and want to follow along with our journey. If you are new and you want to, don't forget to also leave a comment and say hi and introduce yourself, because I'd love to get to know you. And I will see you in the next one.